Think of today's trailblazers like Larry Page, Mark Zuckerberg, and Bumble founder Whitney Wolfe Herd. What do they all have in common? Unstoppable persistence. Once they've got a vision, it's all about turning it into daily action. No matter what business you're in, breaking it down into small, consistent steps is the secret to turning your big ideas into reality. Everyone dreams of that billion-dollar breakthrough. So, what's your next move to make it happen?
Our elite lineup of small business entrepreneurs has been there, done that, and ready to share their hard-earned wisdom. This is the best of the best compilation of the best advice from the best in the business. Get ready to be inspired and uplifted with top-notch strategies, invaluable insights, and real-life stories that will elevate your entrepreneurial journey.
Fake it till you make it is like a religion for some entrepreneurs and hell for others. But does it work when setting up a business?
We've all heard the fake it till you make it mantra. But what's the difference between generating buzz and perpetrating BS? We asked the experts.
1.
I honestly think the fake it till you make it, I don't think we can fake it as much as we think we can anymore. I think social media has literally put a camera to our face, and I know people only show 5% of their life on social media. Like, it's not their whole entire life, right? But weirdly, we know that, but yet we judge and compare ourselves to that 5% of what that person's showing. I honestly think people who are faking it till they make it, there will come a time where it will be obvious. Like, if you're saying, hey, I'm flying private jets every week and those are really my feet in that picture, like, it's just a matter of time. Time is the biggest exposer of truth, I think. But there's another saying, and I think if this saying was tweaked a little bit, like, embody what you want to become, or, hold the vibration or the frequency or whatever term you want to put in there, the mentality of, or behave the way someone that you want to be like behaves. That's different, because you are now being and behaving and working on elevating your life to a different, there's an actual intent to that. Whereas one just seems like it's just for clicks and likes and, hey, look at me, look at what I'm doing, or approval, should I say.
2.
If you're a person that's underconfident, this might be kind of good advice for you, because it's easy as an entrepreneur to see all the things you don't know and to feel kind of frozen, or to feel like you're not enough to do it. You have to teach yourself a lot of things. You have to take a lot of risks. You have to portray yourself in a way that wins clients, that wins employees at times, that wins partners. All of those things require a certain level of confidence. So if the mantra, fake it till you make it, helps you to portray that confidence and to have that confidence also inside yourself to do those really hard things that you have to do, to learn those new skills, to push forward when things are hard, when you don't know what the outcome will be, then adopt that mantra, put it on your mirror. That's fine. There are other people that I would say might be a little overconfident. Maybe they think they know more about the industry than they do. Maybe they are overestimating their experience and their abilities. In that case, that's not going to be super good advice. I would say, don't fake it. Go back and learn what you need to learn. Get the partnerships that you need to get the advice that you need. Do your research.
3.
So fake it till you make it is always a really interesting concept, because frankly, everyone's always faking it and everyone's always made it. You are not I'm not the CEO of a 500 person startup yet, but I sure want to be that guy. And so I'm technically faking it until I've made it there. But then also it's what you define as making it. Are you self-employed? To a lot of people, you've made it, and you really need to take accomplishment in yourself for where you have made it. A lot of people are feeling that they haven't made it because they haven't reached a certain point without looking at, well, look where you are. And so I feel like you're always faking it until you get to that next step, but also you've always made it. And so you've got to, that faking it is often the confidence of it, but that confidence can come from where you are right now. Like, I'm extremely confident in where we are and where I've come from. but I'm still faking it. I'm not a 500 person startup CEO founder. So, everyone's always doing both, but I think that confidence and enthusiasm comes from being happy with what you've done and where you are and where you're going.
Full.
If you watch a lot of documentaries right now, you'll see a lot about fake it till you make it, especially a lot of young entrepreneurs that have maybe taken that to a whole other level. I think fake it to make it can be actually a great motto to live by, as long as you also have core values. Fake it to make it works when it's maybe you're feeling less confident or you're not sure if you can handle it, but you want to go and try in a meeting or do your best. That works. Whenever you start to manipulate data, whenever you start to manipulating things or not telling the full truth, to fake it to make it and making yourself bigger than what you actually are, that crosses a line for me. And I think it's going to come back and catch you every time, in which that case I would just say you're not going to make it, so don't fake it.
5.
I think it's kind of the way of the world. I think the word fake is a little harsh. It sounds so like you're a con artist, but I don't see it that way. I think that anything in this world is up for grabs. We got to go out there and, whoever you are, whatever it is you're trying to do, whatever you're trying to achieve, the world is your oyster. Everything is a societal construct. I think going out there and just figuring it out on the go and being yourself, being who you are, doing what you can, but learning on the fly, that's kind of life to me. So I think that, I think you should fake it until you make it.
Fake it till you make it, the mantra that launched 1,000 startups. But sometimes faking it teeters dangerously close to fraud. Just ask Elizabeth Holmes, who tried to fake it with a tiny blood test. And let's not forget Bernie Madoff, the king of faking it, who made it all the way to jail. While this Silicon Valley maxim has its merits, it can lead to some wild outcomes that stretch far beyond the tech world.
While fake it till you make it might sound like fun, what happens when you put it to the test in real-world scenarios? Can it help you landing that big investor? Or will it just leave you scrambling to cover your tracks? We ask the experts.
1.
Fake it till you make it sounds nice because it rhymes and the concept can be communicated very quickly and crisply, but it can be misunderstood. That fake it till you make it can be misunderstood. Elizabeth Holmes and Theranos or Sam Bankman and FTX. Both of them were faking it until they made it, and they were frauds, and they were massive frauds. And that happens all the way up and down the stack, and a lot of fraud gets attributed to fake it till you make it. I think what the essence of that mantra is, hand crank it till you make it. And so for us at GreenPal, we faked it till we made it for a very long time. And so somebody would sign up for the platform, sign up on the service, and they needed a lawn mowing today. And so for the consumer, that experience needs to be magical. And it just needs to be, I put my address in, I got a quote, I hired somebody, they come and mow it today. And then, so the fake it till you make it was my 2 co-founders and I getting the requests and just calling all over town and saying, hey, can you mow Mrs. Smith on Main Street today? No? Okay. Can you take care of this lawn today? We got to have it done today. No? Okay. And so we are hand cranking and faking the experience behind the curtain, behind the scenes. And so for the consumer, all they see is magic. And for us, we're like a duck on water where we're calm above the surface, and then below the surface, we're like frantically trying to fulfill this request. And then as we did that thousands of times for years. And then through the course of doing that, we then said, okay, what is the one piece of this process that we're faking, that we're spoofing, that we can build a system for? Well, we're calling all of these services. We can build a quoting system for that. Okay, all right. Well, and now we can build a scheduling system. Now we can build a review system. Now we can build a logistics system. Now we can build a payment system. So we began building all of the little pieces to make that process happen smooth and automated. And so now, fast forward 10 years later, millions of transactions are going through the platform that we're not calling all over town and organizing with spreadsheets, obviously. And so I think fake it till you make it should be rebranded as hand crank it until you make it, but it just doesn't sound as good. So we'll stick with fake it till you make it, I guess.
2.
I think that there is a certain level of honesty that is needed. It really depends on the situation. When you're dealing with yourself, absolutely, fake it till you make it all day long. But if you're dealing with clients and deliverables and fee structures and things like that, you really need to be honest about your skill level. You know, there have been several times in my working career where I've already been working with a client and they've wanted to add something to their lineup of things that they're doing. And they have specifically asked me, is this something that you can take on versus hiring someone else to do it? And I think in those cases, fake it till you make it needs a bit of honesty. So you might tell the client, well, I've not done that before, but I am more than happy and willing to learn, and we can do some extra revisions or initial work before we launch. Or you can go to a mentor and say, hey, I've been asked to do this. Can you please guide me and instruct me so that I can learn how to do this fairly quickly?
3,
I think fake it till you make it is really a statement about confidence and how can you put yourself out there when maybe you haven't done something before, but you're trying to act like you have. And you know, everybody's got to handle that differently. I'm not going to feel authentic if I do it that way. So I'm just going to tell you straight up, here's what I've done. If I haven't done something, I'm going to tell you that, but I'm also going to tell you with what you've expressed to me that you're looking for, if I have experience with that or not. If I don't, I'll help find you somebody who does. I don't really struggle with that because I do think I don't want to play the pretend game. And so for me, it's really more about being authentic and meeting your needs and making sure I'm a fit with that. Because if I'm not, I'm doing you an injustice as a client, and I'd much rather find somebody who is a fit. But if I'm a fit, I'll fight for that every day. So I think confidence is what people really struggle with. I am confident in what I know, and I'm also willing to tell you what I don't know. And an example of that would be, I had a call yesterday with someone who owns a $100 million company and is having some people problems. And so I made it very clear to him that my background is not running $100 million companies. I have no experience with that. But that's not what he's asking me for. He needs help with his people, and that is what I do. And so I think being there's no faking for me in that. I'm not going to act like I know what a $100 million company feels like or looks like. I've never been there or done that. And I was very clear with that. But I said what I do know is the people stuff, and that's what you're having problems with, and that's what you're asking me to help you solve, and I'm very confident in that.
4,
Fake it until you make it is beyond true. There's imposter syndrome, right? This idea that, holy smokes, what am I doing here? Does anybody realize that I'm just a schmo? And so everybody thinks that. We all think that. Like, the fact of the matter is, whether you're the most gifted leader in the world or the newest entrepreneur that has ever started a business, there's insecurity in all of us. And what I have found is that the best way to combat insecurity, those demons that are speaking in your ear that you don't deserve to be here, is to just be selfless and care about the other person. To the extent that you can invest yourself in the person across the table, the person in the seat next to you on the plane, the person across the aisle, invest yourself in their life. Be inquisitive about their story.
It doesn't matter if you are Oprah Winfrey, Elon Musk, or Steve Jobs. Setting up a business without making mistakes is impossible.
Starting a business is like juggling flaming torches, exciting and terrifying. And even if you read every business manual there is, you can still expect a few surprises. What do you wish you'd known before starting your business? We ask the experts.
1,
There's an old adage, just assume it's going to cost twice as much and take twice as long. So whatever you build, right, there's an old adage with that. And there's a lot of truth behind that statement. And so when you build out your own projections, I encourage you, build it conservative. It's easy to make the projections and pro formas look big and fun and exciting, but do the homework. What are competitors selling the products or services for in your local area? Do you think that there's a demand for it? And doing that research and building your own business plan along the way is going to be really, really important.
2,
I think in this day and time, for somebody to succeed in business, it's really putting your whole heart into it and realizing that building a business isn't going to happen from 9 to 5. I have had to step outside of my comfort zone, outside of the boxes that I would normally have never wavered from. Like me putting up a billboard 10 years ago for the entire town to see was the most terrifying thing that I've ever done. And I cried about it and I'm not a crier, cried about it for weeks before it actually went up. And I was just mortified the day that it went up, even though it was beautiful. My children hated me for months. I would say that really plan out and think about what you're going to do and what you want to do and what you actually enjoy. If you don't enjoy what you do, the money really doesn't matter as much, and it sucks going to work every day.
3.
There's no business without my body. And that sounds so silly, right? Because I'm a talking head with a body. But honestly, I wish not only knew that, but heard that more and let that actually be a priority to me. Because I think, honestly, as an entrepreneur, you're constantly on a path to self-discovery, because how can you be as crazy to do what you do unless you are on one? But I honestly wish that I learned I need to take care of my body first. I really do, because I don't know how much stress I experienced in my first couple of years, and I'm grateful I went through it because I've learned. But I wish I knew, hey, there's another way of doing this. And now that I know, I'm doing it.
4.
Or as an entrepreneurial leader, you have to get over the fact of being liked. But as a people person, which is hopefully what you all are as part of this audience, you're desiring to attract both clients and staff to come and work for you. You're all about getting people to like you. And so how do you reconcile those two? You have to reconcile those two, in my mind, around our number one value, which is honorable. We do right for right's sake. If I could go back and tell Dan of 10 years ago what Dan of 10 years now forward knows, it's that goes both ways. Honorable also involves honorable to yourself, which means an unwillingness to allow yourself to be walked on. That could be walked on through a client that's not paying their bills on time. That could be walked on through an employee that just can't quite seem to get it right. There have been too many times where we've tried to be a good partner, both internal and external, to a fault and to damage to the organization. And what happens when you allow that to happen is you hurt everybody else. And so I like to say that Valentium Charities is closed. We no longer do work for free. and that's in the format of if you're not going to pay and pay on time, then we're going to shut that down. And we do it way more diligently than we ever did in the past.
5.
First step you have to take is realize it's not about you. If you're going to scale an organization, it's actually about instilling it into everyone else. That'll help inside your organization create the scale. So I think it first starts with people. Number 2, then you have to have the vision. You have to have something that we're all fighting for. What is that North Star? What are we going to do no matter what it takes to keep solving towards that North Star? And then 3, systems and processes. Everybody loves to build systems, but they forget to build the guardrails. People, human capital, make errors. It is hard to scale a business with people, and almost every business is required to scale with people. So people, vision, systems in a circle around guardrails.
Location, location, location. It might seem tired, but does location actually matter when setting up a business these days?
Now, let's talk shop. Location used to be make or break for businesses. But hold up, with remote work in the mix, has the game really changed, or are we playing the same old tune? We've asked the experts.
1.
Location of a business really varies depending on what you do. If you are a retail store, you're doing food, location's very important. If you're running another type of business like what we are, the question always comes up, remote or in person. And honestly, I truly love being around people and building like that, because what I learned having started this during the pandemic was that I could find the absolute best talent in the world and bring them on.
2.
Do you think the iPhone could have been built over Zoom? No, probably not. Could SpaceX or Tesla have been created over Zoom? No. And so if you're trying to build some huge grandiose vision, something that's going to require a lot of technical talent and a lot of invention, where a lot of collaborative different skills have to come together. I think everybody needs to be in one room. But if you're working on a new SaaS solution or a new marketplace like mine, these things aren't easy by any means, but I think they can be delegated remotely and built remotely like our businesses.
3,
I think, as far as like setting up your business and choosing your location, I think a lot of it comes to personality. Are you wanting to work in the city or are you wanting to work in a small town? Because you want to enjoy where you're at. I don't do good in big cities because they're overwhelming to me. I'm a small town girl that likes a smaller atmosphere, and I like knowing who my neighbors are, both the businesses that are next to my business and then also the people who live next to me. And so being smart about where you're setting up shop and setting up your office is really a big deal. I looked for 7 years to find the right office, and thank you, COVID. Nobody was renting spaces, and I finally found the perfect location with the perfect vibe. And it is part of the reason why my business has scaled as well as it has, is because I have the space to fill, but I'm also in a great location and people are finding us in a different way and format. And I've also been very smart about bringing in community partners that help enhance my business. So even though we're an insurance office, I have a winery that's in here Friday, Saturday, Sunday pouring wine, and it has now a second tasting room. They're bringing new people into my space. I partnered with a local artist. She does classes here. She brings people into my space. So the more people who know me, even if it's second or third hand, the more potential clients that I have coming in, because it's been done like with an easy drop versus an in your face, hey, I do insurance, you want to come work with me? Most people will tell you no, they're good. So it's a great way of creating a relationship without creating a relationship.
4.
Seeing advantages of startups in large markets, even if that isn't their market, like Silicon Valley or Chicago or New York or Miami. These large pools of business talent make things easier. The networking and connections are bigger. So it still has value, but I think less today than it did in 2019.
5.
So naturally, if you're in some business that highly rely on geographic ecosystem, then it makes sense for you to be in the middle of that. But oftentimes, if your product or services that you're building or the business you're building isn't that sensitive to geographic location, then I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs, they build businesses from, for example, low cost of living area, so that their overhead is low, their cost is low, and then they're able to make more profit. That's actually, happened to us. So when we were in San Francisco, and that was before COVID, one small 2-person office in San Francisco costs us $2,400 a month. And that was crazy expensive. But then later we moved to a low cost of living area. Okay, I would say lower cost of living area in Southern California, and I was able to find an office that is twice as big and cost less than a quarter. Yeah, I was pretty happy.
Coming up with an easy-to-sell product is a bit like trying to catch lightning in a bottle. Elusive and electrifying. But how do you know it's any good?
Heading to a market without knowing its prospects is like going on a treasure hunt wearing a blindfold. So how do you know your market has potential? We ask the experts.
1.
When it comes to a market you're exploring in and basically understanding if it's got legs to it, you need to ask people. And that's not going to mean that they always are going to say it's a good idea. Frankly, as I mentioned, did not speak to hundreds of VCs who didn't agree that it was a good idea. But you talk to those who are near the industry and near your experience and run it by them. And you need to hear actual advice, whether they like it or not, because someone could not like it and it's still a good idea, because you need to understand why they didn't like it. And a lot of times those whys are they didn't understand what you were saying and they didn't understand the benefit. So it was really more of how you're presenting the solution problem. And so it's really important to be able to talk to people who are going to disagree with you. Get that pushback. A bunch of yes people are not going to help you build a good business. You need people who tell you no and give you realistic insights. And so that way you can really build off what it is that you're trying to grow there.
2.
You have to put your finance hat on. What is the addressable market? What is the inimitable nature of the idea? What is the protectability of that idea? It's just more important, quite honestly, than the technical excellence or novelty of the idea.
3,
Well, it's super dangerous to go out and create a whole new market. It's, you see this all the time, and all the influencers and experts out there pick a product that is already doing well and then figure out what's different about how you're going to bring it. Are you taking it to a place that doesn't have it yet? Are you going to add a little something that makes it better? Like, pick something that is already selling and then find, ways of creating a niche differentiator so that you're going to have clients, and then your margin is basically going to be based on how well you can pitch that differentiator or how amazing the differentiator is. So that, I think, is the common wisdom around picking a product.
Hiring family. Some get it right and some get it wrong. What are the good, the bad, and the ugly aspects of hiring family members?
Family is a powerful force, no doubt. With the right support, your company can soar. But here's the thing, mixing family and business is like mixing water and oil. While we see family as a stable foundation, blending it with business can either bring success or be a recipe for disaster. Big question today, should you hire a family member? We asked the experts.
1,
I have done that over and over and over again. In fact, if you get on Glassdoor, you'll say that like at Valentium, they're like nepotistic or nepotism. They're always hiring their friends and their family. That's a hard one for me because I've been in business for a very long time, and yet I try to make friends with everybody I work with. And so is it a colleague from my past work or is it a friend? Well, yes, I've hired family members, I've hired friends. It is messy at times because sometimes you have to invite them to pursue excellence elsewhere as well, and that can be very painful. But I've always leaned into the fact that I don't really believe in work-life balance. I believe in life-life balance, and work is part of that. So there are times that I work really, really hard and long. There are times that I get away and spend time with my family and friends. It's all important. The beauty of that is when you have friends and family that work with you, then that means that you're in it together each and every day. And so, yes, there are pitfalls, and yet I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm willing to risk in all kinds of ways in order for the gains. And that happens financially as an entrepreneur, but it also happens relationally. And there have been some tough moments. I've had some tear-filled lunches where you're releasing somebody that not only is near and dear to the company, but near and dear to your family or near and dear to your heart, right? And so, but you know what? It also means that you get to rub shoulders with those people each and every day. And I think it's worth the risk.
2,
So the answer I would say is no. Overall, my answer would be no. It's never a good idea to hire family, and I would extend that on out to friends. I would also say it's never a good idea to hire friends. With that being said, there are certainly exceptions to that rule. I've seen situations where family members have coexisted and worked together and it's been fine. But overall, if you have a choice whether to hire a family member or hire someone else, I would always advise to hire someone else other than a family member or a friend.
3,
We have worked with family in our business before in different capacities, and I will say it can be wonderful, it can be difficult, but whatever it is 10 times more intense because it's family. So you can reap the benefits of that when things are working really well. It's really fun. Like I would say my partnership with my husband is that way. But when hard things happen, when you have conflict, when you have to make really tough decisions, like that happens in business. It's not very avoidable in my experience. Those things are so much harder when you have these relationships because you don't want to harm the personal relationship. Again, I don't know if there is a single rule for everyone, but I would say proceed with caution.
Business partners can make or break any business. Today, we're exploring the founder's dilemma. How do I choose the right partner?
In business, it's all about relationships. Whether with clients or suppliers, it all boils down to relationships. Yet, the most important one, your business partner.
In business, a strong partnership can be a game changer. Going solo gives autonomy, but a partner opens doors to a more exciting and dynamic approach. Despite the benefits, many hesitate due to fear of partnership failures, but no need to shy away. Our experts are on hand to help you identify the green flags for your partnership dream team.
1.
If you are looking for a partnership, don't look for someone who does the same thing as you. Look for someone who complements you. For example, my partner Laura, she does public relations, but she does not write. She does not do any writing. She is an event specialist. So we'll be able to add a whole new layer to what we do because I'll be able to provide my services, she'll be able to provide her services, and the two will gel and complement. So if you're a solopreneur and you're looking to expand via partnership, again, like I said, don't look for somebody who does the exact same thing as you. Look for someone who complements your skills and can bring something else to the table that will then help you both move forward in your careers.
2.
When it comes to business partnership, I always say you have to be very careful because it's a marriage. And in fact, my dad taught me this very early. We don't mix friends and family with business. He said, if I hire you, I have to be able to fire you. But when it comes to bringing on a business partner, it should be someone that you do know, but you're not as close with as other people. And they bring very clear value to you and you can work together. Honestly, someone that you just met is going to have a lot of things in the closet you didn't know about. So I'd say acquaintances or good acquaintances are who your typical business partners are going to be. If you're trying to go find one, it shouldn't be someone that you're finding brand new for the first time.
3.
I have seen lots of partnerships in my time, both on the personal side and through work. And I think my biggest thing is partnerships can be disastrous, especially if there isn't defined roles and things that people are supposed to be staying in their own lane for. When selecting a partner, I would say select somebody who is stronger where you're weaker. And that way you can divide and conquer your business and you're not fighting over the same pedestal all the time. I've had a partner in the office that is really good in the office and does paperwork. I'm really good at being out with people. And so it's finding that partnership that you can actually complement each other versus, having two hard-headed people that are fighting for the same, spotlight, so to speak. I'd be careful and methodical about what you're doing and be very clear before anybody were to step into a partnership because it can get super ugly, very divorce-like. And it's really hard being kind of a mediator in the middle when businesses are dividing. So yes, choose wisely.
4.
A, have a very clear agreement up front because most challenges come from not having that clear agreement up front. And that agreement can also and should also, depending on the type of business, have what happens if. Here's my expectations. Here's your expectations. What happens if? This is a big problem in, I think, all relationships. I think whether it's business partnerships, they're not clear on what happens if, right? I remember one time I was starting a company with 4 other people, and we all said, geez, we got equal shares. How are we going to solve a challenge? And we said, well, we'll solve it first by, rock, paper, scissors. And so whoever wins rock, paper, scissors, we'll just keep cutting it down until there's 2 people left, and whoever wins at rock, paper, scissors gets the decision, right? So I know it sounds silly, but the reality is it works. Right? Because the rules are straightforward.
5.
I definitely go with your gut and make sure that there's a definite, there's not a duplication of what you bring. You don't really need somebody who duplicates most of what you bring and then adds a little. You really want something that's going to complement and bring significant value in a way that you couldn't just pay for. Because maybe you're not great at, I don't know, I'm a sales guy, but maybe you're not great at sales, but bringing on a guy as a co-founder because they're good at sales may not be the right thing. It might be better just to hire that.
While some salespeople are so slick they could sell a cape to Superman, some of us might need a little more help when it comes to selling.
Sales is about more than flashy tactics. Sometimes the best approach is tried and tested. So, what are the most underrated sales techniques? We asked the experts.
1.
I think they underestimate their own abilities in most cases. When things are going great, everybody's like, wow, this is awesome, right? It's going great. But when things aren't going so great, they start, should I be here? Should I be there? You know, what's wrong with me? Those type of things. If you have 100% close rate consistently, Anna, you don't have enough prospects. You don't have enough leads. You're not seeing enough people, right? Every company on this planet knows that there is, like Walmart, they know what their theft rate is, right? So big companies, they understand that. So they're going to fail a little bit. And it's through that failure that we grow most of the time when we ask the right question. What did I learn from this? What could I do better? Or, what did I learn and can do better to capitalize on that? So that to me is the thing that gets most people in selling. They have downtimes and they're not incorporating that into actually part of the growth regimen that is needed to actually grow to get to the next level. If you're not getting a no, if you're not missing sales, you're not doing enough. It's that common thing. And if you do miss a sale, ask why and learn something. And then you condition your mind to say, okay, I learned this. I'm going to go to the next level again and again and again. And that's how we create leverage in our process, because then we get acquired skill sets that become habitual, that are serving us.
2.
Unless they are coming from a ready-made network of people that are ready to use their services, which is not usually the way it works, a good 60% of your week, if not more, needs to be spent on networking. And because I don't like to think of myself as a salesperson, I have really had to work hard at thinking of my product as not being me, but the services that I'm promoting, that I'm able to help people with. And let's face it, people have needs and they're looking for someone who can meet those needs. And when I sit down and talk with them, what I have to offer either is a fit with what they're needing right now, or it's not. I don't take it personally. And so it's helped me get out of the quote unquote sales mindset and more into just, I have a set of skills that I'm able to provide, a service that I can provide, and people have needs. And at whatever time you meet them, you're either a match or you're not. And so it's changed my mindset sort of from a sales mindset to more of just a networking, spreading the word, talking to people, finding out what they do, telling them about what I do. And then it just sort of takes care of itself. But it's a numbers game. When we get right down to it, it's a numbers game, and you have to be doing so many meetings a week, sending so many emails every week. I mean, it's a numbers game in terms of building your business.
3.
I think the biggest thing for me as far as like outreach to clients and using the digital age and the digital market to my advantage is to stay authentic to myself. And I mean, who you meet in the office is who you meet at the grocery store. Odds are I may be barefoot in the office and I'll have a pair of jeans and a pair of rubber boots in my pickup because I'm probably heading to a farm. But I'm as authentic as you get, and I try to be the same person on and off camera, on and off social media. And because of that, I think people can connect with me a lot better because I'm not putting on this facade that is, it's really hard to meet somebody that you know and then they're a complete total jerk when you meet them outside of, their social media presence. We've also used social media and digital to do some education pieces with like Ensure What You Love Thursday and things to where we can break a lot of these things down into very easy to understand tidbits and bites, but you're still getting me when we're doing it. But I'm not afraid of having messy hair and mud on my clothes, and sometimes you get me with no makeup and a cup of coffee in my hand. So I think being real and being me has been the thing that has probably propelled me the most and made me the easiest to relate to, because you don't have to wonder what I'm going to say when you walk away.
4.
I believe the best salesperson for your organization is your client, and your client is your referral, and your client is your reference. And that is the biggest badge of honor when a client refers us to another organization, because it's based on such like content and competency and impact, and it means a tremendous amount. I do not take that lightly. I'm also in an industry where people aren't going to Google strategic consulting. It's just not like a thing you shop online for. You need to talk to organizations that have actually worked with different consultants to get those referrals. So important. And it's a relationship business. And I sincerely believe that. I don't care how big we get, it's always going to be a relationship business, going back to the unique needs that each organization may have.
Suppliers. We can't live without them, but sometimes we can't even live with them. With almost half of businesses failing due to conflicts with suppliers, it's easy to forget how important these relationships are.
The truth is, you can't run a business without suppliers. They are our helpers, but when things go wrong, how do you recover from a business relationship that has let you down? We ask the experts.
1.
So I always appreciate the suppliers that go out of their way to go like, listen, this is what's going on. Things are slower than usual. This is what we're dealing with. Then you kind of go, oh, got it. Not anything we can control. But the ones that just sort of pretend like everything's fine while it's not, that's the worst. Once you find one that does deliver for you, has good quality products, gets you the products when they say, is very clear, then you want to hang on to those relationships because those are good partners to have.
2.
It's a relationship. So if you are in business long-term, your relationship with your supplier is likely also long-term. So it's good to be understanding, to be empathetic, to put yourself in their shoes, to understand why things have happened, to see if those are reasonable things that can be explained, that maybe are one-time things, or if they're patterns, and if your supplier really doesn't have the capability to provide the service or the product that you need. I think the biggest thing I've learned is, in the end, we're accountable to our customers. We don't get to pass the buck. So you really do need suppliers that you can count on. But I wouldn't discount someone for a one-time mistake. Usually, I would say, look at it as the relationship that it is, nurture it like it is the relationship that it is. Where you need to, diversify, get more than one supplier. You have to protect yourself that way if possible.
3.
I think the biggest part is probably empathy. At least that's what I used, because suppliers, they're also running a business, and running their own supply chain business or manufacturing business is difficult as well. A lot of our suppliers actually went out of business during the COVID time. Obviously, things got interrupted because of that, but they were trying the best to help us go through the transition. Even though they were out of business, they didn't want to shut down, they just have to shut down. And then I just work with them and find a solution so that we can move forward with the business. So I think just being genuine and being empathetic with this human touch really helped.
Like seesaws, business relationships are made to go up and down, but an unstable relationship can leave both ends unhappy.
Love them or hate them, suppliers are key to business success. Building a good relationship with them has many advantages, but it's sometimes easier said than done. We ask the experts.
1.
When we're working with suppliers, we like to approach it with that same value I mentioned previously of win-win relationships. We're looking for suppliers that want to work together with us in that same capacity. And I found our long-term suppliers tend to have a very similar outlook or philosophy on business, certainly. One of the things we're doing right now is we're actually building out a code of conduct or code of ethics, however you would like to describe it, to help put on to paper what our suppliers and vendors and expectations that we have. And it's really important to us for how they're going to engage with us. But really, it's much more so for when we refer them out to our clients, because we view our suppliers, our recommendations, recommended suppliers and vendors as an extension of our business. And so we want to make sure that there's an effort being made to treat the client well that's coming through. And so that's a very important aspect to how we do that.
2.
I think I always come back to, first of all, knowing who I am and being comfortable in what my style is, what my leadership style is, my working style. And then when I make a decision to bring a partner on, meaning an outsourced partner, getting to know them, getting to know their style. And the bottom line is, do our styles match? Can I work well with this person or can I not? Because I know who I am and I know the kinds of people that I am best matched with in terms of working relationships. And if I see that it's sort of the style that maybe is not my best fit, I'll probably keep looking until I find someone who's a better fit for who I am. And there's no right or wrong or good or bad. It's just, does it fit with who I am or not? And if not, I probably need to keep moving on and finding another choice.
3,
2 things. It sounds very simple. Listen and care. I think people are too quick to sell things. Especially nowadays, I see the amount of spam messages, sales messages, something people want to give me. They say, hey, I love the brand that you build. I'm going to blow your company up by $3 million more. Lovely. That's really lovely. But again, like, for me, that's not the angle that I want to get to know you, right? I think firstly, like, establish the connection with that person. It's ironic. I'm in the business of podcasting, right? It's conversations, but really I'm in the business of listening and establishing connection, conversations, and relationships. So I feel you got to start with caring. Like, care. What does this person want? What do they need? How can I provide services and value to them in a way that will benefit or better their life in a way? So I think starting from there, it sounds very simple, but I think start from caring and start with listening. Don't wait for your turn to speak. Actually listen. Because I think if you do all these courses, there's listening, there's memory courses, people really respond to thoughtfulness. People really respond if, Anna, you told me your birthday, or if you told me what you'd like to eat, and the next time if I saw you, I prepared what you'd like to eat when you came and saw me, wouldn't you be like, Ginny is my girl. She's really cool. She remembered that I love pumpkin pie and she made one for me. Like, she didn't go to the store and buy it. She made one for me. So that is a level of thoughtfulness, very, very minute, but still that already has taken our relationship to a level of, oh, we can actually sit down and have a piece of pie that we both like.
4.
Yeah, so when you're working with suppliers, I think it's super important to be very clear in your communications. What are you trying to buy? Exactly. And to the extent that you're not feeling like you're getting exactly what you're trying to buy, then you need to push on that and you need to be clear. We find that at least half of the time when we don't get supplied what we expect, it's because we didn't truly ask for what we expected. And if you don't spec what you truly want, you have a real problem. Then you need to have rigor around your supply list. So if you don't have an approved supplier list, I strongly encourage you to get that. What does an approved supplier list look like? It looks like leaning into the quality of that organization. If they're not ISO 9000 certified, then show me your quality policy, show me your quality procedures. We cannot buy at this company from a supplier that is not on our approved supplier list, our ASL. And so then look at the financial quality of that supplier. You have a right to know that they're going to be around next year if you're going to standardize on their products. Then demand a certain level of quality from that supplier. When we buy products now that go into our medical devices, not a single product comes into our door without receiving inspection. And that does not mean somebody on your staff comparing it to a bill of materials. That means some kind of a procedure that says, is this product actually good? And to the extent that you're not testing it when it comes in the door, how can you reject it later on? And if you reject it later on, how do you know that it was truly not right when it showed up versus you screwed it up on your manufacturing floor? And so knowing if it's good or not good as soon as it comes in the door and sending it back if it's bad is really important. And then I guess the last thing I would say is QBR, quarterly business review. Taking once a quarter with everybody you buy from and sitting down and talking. How are things going? How are things going for you? Here's how things are going for me. Are you happy? I'm happy too. That's great. Maybe it's very brief, or maybe it's not very brief. Are you happy? You're happy? Well, guess what? I'm not happy. And as a result, we got to change some things. And so baking that into your agreements, which forces you to sit down and take a look, tends to be a healthy rhythm that allows you to continue to promote good supplier relationships.
The Best of Business show is brought to you by the BASA Awards. The BASA Awards exist to recognize, reward, and promote exceptional small businesses. We run 4 award programs: Best of America, Best of Australia, Best of Canada, Best of UK. Remember, it's strictly for small businesses only. Nominate your business today.